From Trimble Construction, you're listening to the Connected Construction Show, where we connect you to the contractors, owners, designers, engineers, and construction professionals who are finding better ways to work. And now, here's your host, Matt Sprague.
Hello and welcome everybody to the Connected Construction Show. My name is Matt Sprague and I am your host. Today I am joined by Bill Mandara. He's the CEO of Mancini Duffy out of New York City. Bill, welcome to the show.
Hello there. Thanks for having me.
We are excited to be back. This is our first show since our little fall hiatus that we took. So you are our first guest / guinea pig on maybe our maybe you consider this our next season of the Connected Construction Show. So we're happy to have you. And
I'm quite honored. Thank you.
All right, so let's dive into a little bit of you know your firm and some of the challenges that it's had. So you know, there's been like kind of this double whammy that's been out there in terms of higher interest rates combined with lower demand for office space. So how has that essentially been affecting your firm and how you operate or what your strategy is?
You know, it's affected us, and thankfully it hasn't affected us. One of the things we've done to insulate ourselves against that, and this was something that Christian and I wanted to do years ago, was truly diversify our practice. Back to 2009 again, the firm where I worked did a lot of corporate interiors for financial clients. So as you can imagine, one day we all came into work and it was like, wow, there's a lot less people here and there's a lot less work. So one of the things that we've actively done and purposely done is diversify our practice to include other sectors such as life sciences and labs, healthcare, education, multifamily residential, industrial work, hospitality, hotels, you name it. And really in a purpose-driven way of doing that. So by way of example, we acquired a firm about a year and a half ago that did healthcare and multifamily, and that's been spectacular for us. We brought in another healthcare expert to bolster that, and because we have so many different genres, I guess you would say, of architecture of our practice, it helps us. But I will tell you that the demand for office is an issue, especially in New York City, where one of the things we find ourselves doing now a lot of is looking at how to convert office buildings to residential. And in some cases, it works quite well. In some cases, it doesn't. But in pretty much all of those cases, there's a fairly hefty investment required by the developer to switch that asset over. And I think that while New York City talks a great game about wanting to have more housing product out there and housing inventory, which is obviously necessary, they really do need to somehow start to financially incentivize this for developers to really make it happen, because the easiest of buildings to convert still requires a fair capital investment to make it happen, because in a lot of cases the floor plates are either too wide or too deep, and you need to kind of lop off a portion of that. Now you can add to that up top, and you can keep that at floor area, and you can add to the top of the building, you can remaneuver it, but these are all, you know, not inexpensive propositions. And for us as architects and people in the real estate industry, it's great because they're projects, and they're cool projects, and they're fun projects, and hopefully they're financially rewarding projects as well for everybody. And if we really want to get these off, I think that the city needs to start to come up with some sort of financial motivation. But you know, the big thing, like you said, is the lower demand for office combined with the higher interest rates is tough. And I think that we've been saying people returning to the office for, you know, over 3 years now, and it still hasn't happened. So I think that horse may be out of the barn, so to speak. So I don't know that people are ever going to. So I think that there does need to be a concerted effort on the powers that be, so to speak, to figure out the right financial gratification or motivation for people to make these projects happen.
That's interesting. So just playing it back to you and whatnot, I heard kind of the first thing was as either through expanding within your own talent within the organization or through acquisition, you went through diversification of markets. So not just relying on office space type of work, you kind of expanded that, and then obviously the need for higher resident, or not higher, but more residential space within the city is driving your business moving forward.
Agreed, all of that. Like I said, I'm not saying nobody's immune to it, but we've been insulated a bit by our diversification of practice, and there is opportunity for a lot of these projects. But I will temper that to say that all of these office buildings are not going to get converted to residential. It's just not going to happen. There's people far smarter than me in the financial community that know how these financial models work in these buildings, and it's not going to happen for all of them. There's a lot of them that could, but it's not going to be for all of them. And it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out with these higher interest rates and with the ability to get capital and without the demand for people to go into the office.
Yeah, and I mean, is it like a kind of like a pendulum and whatnot? So like COVID hit, obviously the pendulum swung towards no one's in the office.
Yep.
To now it's swinging back. Is it ever, in your opinion, is it ever going to go back to the way it was?
I don't know. And I have kind of an unpopular opinion on this, quite frankly, because I've sat in a lot of focus groups and whatnot where people talk about what's going to get people back to the office. Is it amenities? Is it creating different things with the office? And I think, yes, all of that certainly will help. But I kind of think that until people don't have the option to not go to the office, people aren't going to go to the office until enough people say, and I'm not suggesting they do this. I don't know what the right answer is, but if every company in a particular area, if every financial company said, you're all coming, we demand you all to be in the office 5 days a week, then people don't have an option to move to other places and people will come back to the office. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that's what should happen, because there is a certain amount of flexibility that's wonderful and that people have discovered and is great. And there are people that can be very productive from home. I personally am not. I come to the office at least 4 days a week because me sitting at home by myself is not my highest and best use. I mean, my dog loves it, but that's about it. I need to be here as a resource for people and approachable for people and here to help and be of service to people. That's a big part of my job. And you can't do that from home. And particularly in a creative industry or a collaborative industry like architecture, like what we do, it suffers. Our particular policy is 3 days in the office and 2 days of flexibility, which works for a lot of people.
So let's start to kind of get into the technology side of things. So talk to me about the different technology that you're leveraging, or the things that you kind of see as the future, especially for your firm and making yourself stand out in the market to others, and how technology is playing a role in that.
Sure thing. So, we invested heavily in technology when we bought the firm. We had a few folks over here that were really, really smart and really knew a lot of things, and we invested heavily and let them take the reins for things. And we had a lot of start and stops, a lot of things that we tried didn't work, things that did work. And the result of that, what we have now is our own proprietary technology. It's called the tool belt. It's ostensibly an interface between Revit and it affects our entire process, where our entire design process right now is done either in VR or AR or digitally. We do not do or build our models in Revit and then flatten them out and put them on PDFs and give you 4 options, and you can choose from, I like option A, but I really like this thing from option B. And then 2 weeks later, we come back and we combine it. And it's like, wow, I don't really, I really would if we have that. And then before you know it, a month has gone by. We don't do that. We immerse our clients in the process. They either come to our office and do it, or we have a we call it a 2-player version that can be done over in a platform such as this, where we will walk through the model live, and rather than say, you could say, hey, I like this, but it could be over there. And you can scroll through different options and you can move things around. And at the end of that session, whether it be an hour, 2 hours, or whatever it may be, at the end of that session, we've made real decisions, and we can now take those decisions that are already in our model, clean them up, and go.
Yeah.
So we can do what another firm can do, what does in 2 to 3 weeks, we can do in 2 to 3 hours, quite frankly. And this is our own proprietary software processes that has led us to this, and it's been great for us. It's a real difference maker for us.
Yeah, we I've heard it was a customer of ours that leveraged augmented reality. I want to say their architect, rented a massive empty warehouse, and this was for a hospital, and it was a great use case for augmented reality, that they were able to walk around, obviously, and so not like just view it. They actually walked around into what and it was one particular floor within a hospital, and they invited nurses, doctors, custodial staff, a bunch of people to view it. And it was a major thing, and I can't remember the exact numbers, right? But it was the nurses, and they were like, the ice machine is where? And it was like that, and then they were able to say, like, we're gonna have, and they actually mapped it out, and it was like on a daily basis, like they're like, we're gonna have to walk like 5 miles every single day. I might be exaggerating, but like it was just as something as maybe from people who aren't in the industry, as innocuous as the placement of an ice machine into how this thing is designed, made a massive impact for the people that it's actually being built for. So it's a really cool use of that technology.
So we're doing just that, and we're actually doing it in the proposed space. We're bringing people in the proposed space that they've leased. We do a lot of restaurants, and to your point, we will sometimes bring the chef in, and they can virtually walk around the kitchen and exactly what you're saying, say the shelf is too high, I can't see the line cook, or things like that, things that as an architect or designer, I make some killer food at my house, but I don't know I'm not a professional cook. They're bringing them into that process exactly like you're describing. And even better, like to your point, what we're doing now is we're bringing them into the actual space in AR and letting them experience that. Is completely invaluable, because there's nothing worse than at the end of a project having a client disappointed with what the result is because it's not what they understood it to be. Whether that is, whether it is that because they did not understand a drawing, whether it was because a rendering fibbed a little bit to make it a beautiful picture. All of that is a failure, and on everybody's part, quite frankly. So avoiding that with having the honesty up front of just immersing yourself in the model and in the space is amazing for us.
How well does, I guess this might be a not a 2-part question, but two separate questions. How well do the actual owners or developers that you're working with accept the idea of looking at the 3D models? Same question, how do the contractors accept the use of the 3D models?
Owners, clients, let's just use the overarching client term. They love it. They absolutely love it, because they're experiencing what it is. It's a different process, and they can understand it. And it's from a large variety of client types, right? Developers are a little bit different because this is what they do, and they a lot of times come from backgrounds where they can read a set of plans and they can read a set of drawings, but they still like it. But a lot of our clients don't do this every day. They didn't spend 5 years getting beaten over the head with a stick in architectural school and know how to do this. So it's new to them, and this is a process they know how to do. Most people have at some point either played a video game or they watched their kids play a video game or something, and they understand that experience of walking through, whether it's, a shooting game or something, or Matt, whatever. They understand that experience of walking through a world on a screen. Um, and that's what we're doing. So they embrace it 100%. They love it. They really do. I would tell you that beyond the fact that they like it, it's actually kind of fun. What we're doing is important, but it doesn't always have to be not fun. There's no reason, we're doing this for a long period of time. It should be fun. So that's something I like about it. As far as contractors, they like being brought in on it too, because what we do is we require our consultants to also be in 3D and BIM. And when we import their models into our models, if there's a duct in the wrong way, if there's a sprinkler line where a beam is, you're not doing an elaborate layover in software. You're literally looking up and being like, "Oh crap, that can't be there. Let's move it." So there's really not a lot of hiding, which is great. It keeps everybody honest and it avoids things down the road. I will tell you that ultimately what we'd love to do, and we're working towards this, is again, we build these elaborate models, and then what do? We flatten them out into drawings and we give them to the contractor, and they look at them on their iPad or something like that now. They're not necessarily rolling out drawings, but we're still kind of doing the same thing that the architect and my grandfather did in, the 60s and 70s. So our goal is to start delivering that model to contractors, and whether it's through projection mapping or other means, start to build these things like that. That's where we want to be. And there's a lot of folks in the construction industry that are very receptive to this.
It's awesome. I mean, I feel like it's taken a long time to get here,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's BIM's been around for, it seems, ages. I do feel like we're past a tipping point, right? It is becoming, or it has become, a standard. It still irks me when I see paper drawings, because it's like, I know that didn't start as a flat 2D.
I'll tell you, there's a pile of drawings sitting out there that I have to go and sign and take my seal for the state of New Jersey and put it on there and go to a building department. Yeah, it's not my favorite. I'll tell you, listen, BIM is 100% the standard. It's been the standard.
Yep.
People coming out of school don't even learn AutoCAD. I mean, I still know how to use AutoCAD, and once in a blue moon, if somebody needs a detail, I'll be like, "Hey, export that out to AutoCAD, and I'll send that back to you." But yeah, it's just, that's also because I'm old at this point.
So we got a few minutes left. I'd love to give you the opportunity to maybe highlight a particular project that you have worked on, or one that you are working on that is exciting to you and your firm.
Sure. So, the most exciting project of my career, quite frankly, is wrapping up right now. It's TSX Broadway. It is 1568 Broadway. It is across from the TKTS booth. We've been working on a project for 6 or 7 years. And it's really been a heck of a journey. What we did was we demolished the old DoubleTree Hotel that was there. We took the Palace Theater, and this is the royal we. I mean, it's us along with a lot of other consultants, and nobody could do a project like this, with one firm. But we raised the Palace Theater 30 feet in the air. We dug out sub-cellars between it. We built a new hotel on it. We built a new hotel, 47-story hotel above it, created some of the most amazing retail space out onto Times Square. There's a stage that goes out to Times Square. There's massive LED screens. The whole building is literally just full of technology. When you walk through, you see the entire tower. I could go on for hours and hours about it, but it's an amazing project. The team that worked on it it's amazing right now. They're all coming back as the project ends back into the fold, into our firm. And I was joking, it's like reacclimating people to society after being on that project so long. But it's really a spectacular project. The most amazing thing I've ever had the privilege of working on in my career. And the other night, my wife and I went out to dinner in the city, and we're in the cab, and she goes, "Hey, look, that thing that when you wake up at 4:30 in the night, like in a cold sweat, worrying about, it's there, it's done." It's like, holy crap, it is done. Look at that. It's amazing. So that is yeah, it'd be hard. I've been very fortunate to work on a lot of really cool projects and with a lot of amazing people. But um, that one right now is obviously kind of the top of thought.
That's amazing. I'll have to come. My family and I are trying to create an impromptu trip down to New York City to go check out Hades Town before a person who plays Orpheus is leaving, I think, in 3 weeks. I've seen it. My wife's seen it. My son is dying to hear this guy live and whatnot. So anyway,
Right.
we're gonna try to make a trip down in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I'll have to check out the TSX Broadway. So
It's amazing. I'm not doing it justice in a 3.5 minute description, but it's an amazing building.
awesome. Well, Bill, thank you very much for your time today. As when we chatted before this, I said this conversation goes by like a blink of an eye. It goes by very quickly, but I've really enjoyed listening to you and hearing your story and talking about the challenges that you're experiencing and how you've turned those challenges into opportunities and the use of technology in the industry and AR and VR. It's been awesome. A lot of great information here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks so much.
And for everybody listening, watching, thank you very much. And until next time, stay connected.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Connected Construction Show. For more information, visit us at connectedconstructionshow.com.